Hey again, and welcome to today's live stream. Today's live stream dedicated on Upwork FAQ, Upwork frequently asked questions, and Upwork hacks for Upwork agency owners. If you're new to the channel, by any chance, you should absolutely consider subscribing because we talk a lot about tech outsourcing businesses here and other online businesses. So you might want to stay around. And if you're a veteran here, welcome back again. So before we jump straight into the topic, let me know in the comments, let me know in the chat whether you can hear me well. And yes, whether the connection is well, whether you can see me well, whether there are no interruptions. So please let me know in the chat. Hi, Leonid, great to see you here. Hi, Alexander. I hope you are watching right now. So I hope you can hear me well. So today while you're responding, today's live stream will be dedicated to Upwork and specifically to about Upwork agencies. And this episode will be dedicated for Upwork agency owners and Upwork business owners as well. Hi, Alexandra. Great to see you here. That you've made it today. Okay, so I understand that the connection is good, so let's jump straight into the topic. And let's start. So I have gathered a few questions that were asked on my channel specifically and on other channels and overall. So I have gathered all of the questions related to starting an Upwork agency, whether it's worth it and how do you actually do it. So let's start from the first question, and that is, should I create an Upwork agency at all? Now, first and foremost, I have already done a separate video on this one. It is called, if I remember correctly, Upwork agency versus freelancer, where I cover in details like all the pros and cons of each. However, just a reminder, this path is definitely not for everyone. An agency is sort of like a first step in establishing your own business. And like any business, it requires a lot of energy and resources. And moreover, it brings in a lot of risks and responsibilities. And like your own work might become less secure and less stable. And another challenge is that along with this responsibility, you will be responsible not only for providing your team members or your employees in the future with enough money and workflow, so to keep them engaged and interested in working with you, but also in delivering excellent results to all of the clients who work with your team members, like making your clients happy. So before starting in an agency, you should absolutely consider all the pros and cons, and you should be ready to take these challenges and to start your own business, because an agency is the first step in establishing your business. So if you want to learn more about this, so I strongly recommend you to go and check out my video on Upwork agency versus freelancer, because I covered there in more details why you should or shouldn't start an Upwork agency, because definitely there are pros and cons to each. Like as a freelancer, you're responsible only for delivering your work specifically. And when you are a business owner, an agency owner, whatever, you are responsible for each of the team members, for their delivery, for their communication with the customer, for keeping them engaged as well, and for ensuring that they have workflow enough to be busy, to receive money, and for you to receive money as well. And another thing that not everybody talks about is that you will have to have a safety fund, because as an agency owner, you are paying your freelancers directly. And if something happens, like if the client goes south, you will be the one responsible before your team members. So you will be the one who will have to cover the expenses and pay your team members, if you are an honest business owner. So you should consider all the risks before starting an agency for sure. Now let's move on to the next question, and that is, how do I start? So how to start. So if you have considered all the risks and you're ready to take all the challenges and ready to start, the next question that you will be asking yourself, how do I start? How do I start an Upwork agency? And I covered this topic as well in a video called how to start an Upwork agency, actually, where I show the process in detail like step by step. And honestly, it's easier for you to put the entire list on Upwork like in another tab and we binge watch all of the videos. But let me just cover like in short how you actually start an Upwork agency. And the first step I would recommend you taking would be finding a partner, a reliable partner, a person whom you can trust, because on Upwork, it requires at least two to make the Upwork team. Like you may invite another freelancer from Upwork or a colleague or from outside of Upwork, or any partner, but I strongly recommend that you trust this person, because probably you will have to make them an admin, to give them admin rights in your Upwork agency. So and consider inviting like a person who has skills that are like contrary to yours, because it's good to have both communication and technical skills within a team. So if you're, say, like a communication person, say a salesperson, then you might consider inviting someone with more like a technical background. And if you're a techie, then absolutely consider inviting someone who is like who is more of a pro in soft skills and who would be providing you with the communication part. So like it takes two to form a team on Upwork. Now, then like it's operational issues mostly. You should find a project for your one team member, then as you bring in more and more team members, you should find projects for them, making sure that all of them do well, as clients' feedbacks are vital for new agencies. Like negative feedbacks from the very start will kill your agency, and it will be easier for you to start another one rather than trying to climb all the way up from the bottom. So again, if you want to learn the process like step by step, how to start an Upwork agency, do check out my video on how to start an Upwork agency, where I do that like real time along with you. Now, the next question that I met on the web, and that is how to have more free time. I met this question on Quora. So how to have more free time while earning more. And I'm trying hard not to laugh here, because some people think that being an entrepreneur means to have more money and more free time. And it might be true in terms of money, not necessarily, believe me, not always. But you unlikely will have a lot of spare time. Like, my opinion is quite on the contrary. You will have less free time, because as your agency grows and employs more and more people, you need to dedicate more and more time to managing those people. And you will have to dedicate more, to put in more effort to run your business. And to not get like overloaded, think about the right tools and processes from the very start, and look perhaps for good managers who can substitute you in case required, or who can work together with you and take care of at least some of your responsibilities. So again, it's unlikely that you will have more free time, like even less so, especially in the beginning. So don't delude yourself. And another great question is that, what difficulties should I be ready to? And this is a good one. Now, the biggest challenge here is the balanced workload, because you need to have the stable flow of new projects for your team to keep people busy and to bring in some profit as well for your company. But on the other hand, do not overload them with work, because in my team, we had a situation when one engineer had 3 projects simultaneously, and not only did it result in us breaking the deadlines, which is not that great, and we were lucky to have like understanding clients who didn't give us negative feedback or anything, or they weren't even frustrated, but still it's not a good thing to break deadlines, right? Not only did it result in this, but also that engineer had like not a good health condition because of the overload. So you don't want that to happen to your team members for sure. So from my experience, again, it's better to make sure that everyone is balanced in your team, that all of them get enough workload, but not like over enough. From my experience, again, it's better to find a person who will be responsible for the sales, lead generation, business development of your agency from the very beginning, focusing on only this direction. Because if you, as an agency owner, and if you're, say, on the sales side, on the communication side, if you try to manage both internal operations and new client search, you will face with the swing-like situation that all of the business owners of tech outsourcing companies, tech outsourcing teams face very often. And that is either a lot of work and not enough people, or on the contrary, few projects and to keep everybody busy and not enough workload, so that, like, people are on the bench and you either have to pay them from your own pocket or let people go, or let people just wait for new projects. And if they're patient enough, they will wait. But sometimes you might lose people. So that is a typical situation for all outsource business owners, for all Upwork agency owners. Either a lot of work, not enough people, or in the country, not enough work and people available for new projects. So do consider dedicating one person that will be generating your sales, or leads at least, on the constant basis. Okay, so the next question is, so if you decided that you want to have a separate person for that business development efforts, the next question that you will be asking yourself is, can I find a sales/marketing/content assistant on Upwork, or lead generator on Upwork? And the short answer is yes, but you can find like any professional on Upwork, including lead generators, but remember that the ones with the best profiles are not necessarily the best performers, or those who might actually help you. Because sometimes it doesn't take a lot to get good feedbacks from customers, and at the same time you're like an average type of person, and you don't want such a person to work for yourself, because sometimes there are people who cannot sell themselves, and yet they are great specialists. And on the contrary, there are people who can sell themselves well. They are so great. They have awesome profiles that even Microsoft would give them a job offer. But at the same time, they're not great performers. So check their skills and give them test tasks and try them on smaller projects and supervise them, especially when you're just hiring them. And I would still recommend hiring like a full-time lead generator who will work closely with your team, who will know who are the people inside your team, what their skill set is, and what projects they should be looking for actually, and what people, so what team members are lacking projects at this moment, and so on. So like understand all the processes inside your team and all the people inside your team, and it will significantly help those lead generators to find the most appropriate clients and target audience. And at the same time, it will be easier for you to it's like a team like work. So it will be easier for you to both manage and supervise that person as well. So the next question is, how do you work with team members? And this question was asked to me personally. How do you manage your agency accounts? And here, the answer is pretty simple and straightforward, because we are a straightforward team, and my core principles are honesty and transparency. And I hope that you can say as much from my channel, that I share with you like all my wins and all my failures as well. I shared when we became top rated and when our GCC dropped. So I do share everything along the way, and I'm never like sugarcoating this. So I apply the same principles in my team, and we do everything according to the Upwork requirements. All our team members, all of our Upwork agency members, are real people who have their own accounts and work directly with the client. We do not use any like hidden schemes, intermediate communications layers, etc., etc. We don't have like some fake profile like behind which the entire team hides. No, we don't do any of this stuff. What we do is we operate as a company. Like almost all of the people who work with us, they are we have like contractor agreements with them, so they are team members. And most of the people who we bring to our Upwork team, they either did not know about Upwork previously for some reason, even though some of them were like senior professionals, or just did not consider Upwork or did not bother to register on Upwork before joining our team. And that is how we operate. So we help them register on Upwork, we'll help them brush up their accounts, we help them to outline what their core skill set is, we help them start the project with the client, so we find projects for them. So we like take them by hand and guide them step by step how it should be done. And this is actually a great advantage for them, especially for people who didn't have Upwork experience previously, because like again, I'm all for transparency here, and sometimes you have to understand as an agency owner that you might lose people. And I have talked about this in one of the previous live streams, like entrepreneurial challenges or something it was called, because the least thing I love about my work is letting people go. But this is something you should be prepared for. And when you hire either like employee or agree on a contract basis with people, you should be ready that they will leave you, and it should be a win-win situation. You use their skill set, you use their professionalism to win your clients and to win your projects, and they, on the other hand, will walk away with a great Upwork profile that has feedback of customers, feedback like great rating and Upwork experience, and it will be easier for them to find projects as individuals should they want it one day. So it should be a win-win situation, and you should actually emphasize this part when you're talking with the person the first time. So I'm diving too deep into details here, sorry. So another question that I met was, do your team members know contract conditions and do they communicate directly with customers? And I'm sure that this is the question that all of the agency owners are interested in, because on Upwork, your team members are able to see their Upwork rates. You, as an Upwork agency owner, you are able to put your rates on their profiles, those who are exclusive contractors to your agency, that is. And they will see that, say, you have put, say, $40 per hour on their profile, and they are working with that customer for $40 per hour, whilst you have agreed with them that they are being paid like $15 per hour, say, just a mere example. And you should actually, again, we come back to transparency here, because you should communicate this part in ahead and let them know how things operate in Upwork. First and foremost, you should communicate this part. So first and foremost, you should tell them how Upwork operates. You should communicate to them that Upwork takes 20% of the earnings of their first clients, if that is their first client, and if that client is new to your agency at all. So Upwork takes 20% of your earnings. Then it takes some bank commissions as well. For example, if you're paying your contractors via transfers or on their bank accounts, there is a bank fee involved, and they should be aware of that, and you should communicate this part as well, so that they just don't take it for granted. So you should communicate, like, give them an example. Say, we have a smaller task for $100. Do you understand that out of this $100, Upwork will take 20? So we will only receive $80. And then out of those $80, if we send you, say, a wire transfer, we will lose again some amount of money. So out of that $100, we will only get $70. And then out of that $70, we will have to pay you a salary. So do explain to people how things work on Upwork. And when you explain like in all of the details without hiding actually anything, then like people will understand, because working through agency has its advantages as well. First thing, like I already mentioned, they will walk away with an Upwork profile that will look professional and that has some Upwork experience as well. Second thing, if something goes wrong, if all hell breaks loose, if things go south with the client, everything can happen on Upwork. That person should rest assured that they will get paid regardless of whether or not the client will pay you. And this is the risk that you as an agency owner should be able to take. So, say you have agreed with that person, with your contractor, to work for, say, $10 per hour, just a mere example, for $10 per hour. But they will see that on their profile you have put like $25 or $30 per hour. You should communicate all the risk. You should tell your contractor all the risk that you are taking as an agency owners, that you are covering Upwork fees, Upwork bank commissions in case you pay to your contractors via bank transfers. And also you are taking on yourself the risks. If the client doesn't pay you, you are still committed to pay your contractor. So when you communicate all of those risks, and another one that I didn't mention is that you, as an agency owner, you are finding new projects for your contractors. And that is a vital part, because on Upwork, you should pay each time you apply to new projects, and tell that to your contractors that actually I'm paying each time I apply to projects that we might not even win. Like it takes up to 10 cents per application to apply on Upwork. And if that freelancer is new to Upwork, they might not be wanting to take that risk, spending like dollars and dollars and not receiving any response. And this might happen because there are a lot of great technical professionals who are not great communicators, and they might not apply to projects in such a way that would appeal the clients to respond them back. So again, all the risks are on you. You pay for the applications, you find them projects. So do agree about the fee, about the hourly rate that you're working with a contractor, and then explain how Upwork operates, and then tell them that no matter what, I put whatever rate I find appropriate on your profile. Just don't pay attention to that. We will have our settled as we agreed. And this way, when you communicate all of that, it's transparent for the entire team, and there will be no like hidden grievances or passive aggressiveness, towards the agency or anything of the kind. Because I tell people exactly how we operate, and people do understand that we need to make money as an agency as well, because we take a lot of risks as well. And most people are fine with it if you tell them. So, and having any like schemes and any middle people and hiding behind fake profiles, it isn't even worth it. Like, it's easier to operate an Upwork the way Upwork suggests. Okay, so the next question is how to make your team responsible and result oriented, and this is a great one. First of all, you should give a good example of excellent communication yourself, managing expectations and problem ownership and so on and so forth. And you should be available, you should respond, you should be active on Upwork, you should be active in your team chats, whether it's Slack or Skype or Telegram, whatever. And second, you should discuss the tasks with your team, because some things that are obvious to you can be unclear to most people. Like, don't expect people to know what you know and to understand what you understand. This is the mistake that many business owners do. So don't expect people to understand what you already understand. So it's important to have also meetings, like one-on-one meetings with your team members, like once a month, or you will feel how often it will be appropriate. For example, there are team members with whom I communicate daily. So we're like on the same page, but there are team members who are on outstaff basis and with whom I only interact like once per month when I pay them salary. And this is important during that period to at least have a sort of short communication, short conversation about whether that person is satisfied with everything, to just receive their feedback about the project, about the managers on that project, work conditions, collaboration with other people in the team who are not inside your team, and also provide your feedback on that person's performance. So this is extremely important for you to be like supervising all of the chats with your Upwork team members, because you want to understand where you stand with all your current projects, and secondly, you want to protect your team, because often clients want some extra job to be done, and like for the same fixed price that wasn't previously discussed, or change requirements like in the middle of the fixed priced projects and so on. And I don't want that personally, and I'm sure you don't want that either as an Upwork agency owner. I don't want my team members to work for free, to overwork, and I don't like it when someone takes advantage of my people, and I'm sure you don't either. So this is one of the reasons you want to supervise everything that goes on inside the chats, and also you want to be there to check how your team members are communicating with the customer. And sometimes there should be some certain things that should be said in some certain situations. And if you are a good communicator, and you should be as an Upwork agency owner, or your partner should be, you might want to consider like stepping in sometimes, or writing exactly what should be said in this situation and sending this to your team members. And this way, your team members will learn how to communicate and how to react in the best way to any like client's remarks, so that the relationships are not broken and nobody like walks away, feeling somehow being done wrong to. And there is some sort of a compromise found, and the client won't feel like there's someone else interfering, because I do this often. I do write something on behalf of my team member, and I send them that in a private chat, and I say like, John, send that to your client, like on your behalf, because I only step in as myself, as Olga, as an Upwork agency owner, when the situation is on the verge of being out of control. Now, the next question is, who and how applies for jobs in your team? How long does it take to find a contract? Now, truth be said, it's me. It's myself who applies to the projects on behalf of my team members. I am in the process of finding myself a good lead generator who will be working with us full time, and I need that strongly. And in your team, it might be different. Again, I'm recommending to have a separate person for that, like a business development manager or a lead generator, who will be dedicating their like full time to finding new projects and to applying on behalf of your team members. Because sometimes it takes up to 1 hour to write the right, proposal to the client, and a couple of hours to find the best project for your team members, and that is a full-time job actually. So how long does it take to find a contract? It really depends. Because sometimes less than a week, like I apply and in the same day we receive a response from the client, and the next day we start working, and sometimes it takes a few weeks. So it really depends first on the tech stack of the person. Like we have some data engineers and NLP engineers who have like really narrow specialization, and they are in high demand. So we don't even have to look for projects for them. We receive invites from the clients ourselves. And there are people who are like more on a general like page developers, like backend developers. It takes like more time to find the appropriate project for them. So it really depends. It might be a few days or a couple of weeks, but the median would be like a couple of weeks. Let me put it this way. Okay, so the next question is how to write a winning proposal. The question I've met in Quora. And by the way, if you haven't, I have a community on Quora called IT People Accelerator, and also, I'll be having some announcement to make in my next video, so make sure to check out my channel regularly. So yes, on Quora, I've met with this question, how to write a winning proposal. And there are actually a lot of successful tips on both on Upwork blog, official blog. You do know that Upwork has a blog, do you? We don't all of us read it, right? But still, there are a lot of advice on how to write a winning proposal. And Upwork also holds local and online events where they teach how to apply to projects and how to win yourself customers. And they provide some great advice here. I can just mention the most important one, and that is to customize your proposal according to your potential client's request and project. Like read carefully everything that they include in their proposal and reply like even with their own words to each of the question or to each of the thought that the client expresses. And that's I presume the key to receiving a response from the client. And also make sure that you provide some sort of a useful advice. That would be like a fishing bait, some sort of valuable advice according to their project or some questions specific to their project. This way you will actually get noticed, and the rest is history. The rest is a technical job, is operational job. So try different approaches as well and compare the response rate as well. So I have found myself pretty suiting style that gets clients like answer us the most frequently. So I use this style. So you can play around with other styles as well. So it really depends. But one core thing remains, and that is reply directly to the project description that your client took the time to write for you. So we don't even have any templates on how to respond to certain job descriptions. We don't have that, and I'm strongly against that. I think that we should, when you're applying, you should apply to that particular project. End of story. So another question is what to do if the customer is difficult. And again, I have an entire couple of videos on that. Sorry. I have two videos. One is related to types of clients you should never work with, I presume, and also types of international clients. And you might want to check out those videos on my channel. So yes, there are difficult customers, and just take it for granted. You cannot change people, and the thing you can change is your attitude. And most clients actually are reasonable and well-intended, and you should just put yourself in their own shoes and to understand what are their fears and what are their desires. And most clients just want to have their project delivered, and most clients want it to be delivered for the smallest budget possible. Communicate with customers and explain the situation. If you face with any difficult situation, so explain that situation and try this way to manage their expectations and never go in the silent mode. For example, something bad happens or you don't know how to proceed with the project. Never, fade away and never stop responding to client. That's the lame thing to do. And another thing is try not to be emotional, because if the client argues with you, you should stay calm at all costs, and you just have to understand what their pain is and what what you want to achieve with this conversation and where you want to bring it to, and always aim to resolve a conflict like in a win-win way, good for both you and the client, or bad for both you and the client. For example, if it involves for you to work some extra hours and for client having to wait more than agreed deadline, that's okay. Next question is any advice to a beginner agency owner? And this is what the question asked on my channel. So my main principles, as I've already indicated, so first one is be honest and transparent, and that is my core principle in running a business, because you don't want to sugarcoat this and you don't want to things be revealed. So be honest with people, with both clients and your team members. Do what you promised. Be professional and always improve your skills and quality of your service. For example, it might include if you have a promising team member inside your team, do pay for the course, for some course that they want to take in order to learn some new skills. You will be then able to sell that person for higher rates, right? Or always improve your own skills as well, like communicational skills or whatever. Or you might want to learn technical skills if you're a salesperson. So always improve your quality of services. If or you might bring in some new blood with some new skill set, up to you. So always look for ways to improve your services. Then the obvious one, that is have great communication with your clients. Sometimes it's more important, in most cases, it's more important than having an outstanding code, say, for example, because what I mean here is that like bad situations might happen to everyone, even to the most senior people in our industry. And it's very important to communicate your point of view and to make the client calm down and reapproach the situation and perhaps redo the entire project, but do this like in a calm way, respecting each other. And that is a skill that takes years to master. Another one is very hard to admit, but that is admit your mistakes and fix them. You can always explain the situation to the client, and in most cases, they will understand. That is the thing that I've learned during the years in outsourcing business. Admitting your mistakes, fixing them, and remembering that whatever happens, you can always explain the situation. Yes, it might result in some even bad feedback, but you're not going to be killed, right? So you and what I found that most clients are actually reasonable. You just put yourself in their shoes and try to understand their frustration as well. And the next one is obvious: respect your clients, right? Respect your clients and respect your team members as well. You should be a good leader to your team members and take responsibility for them. You should never leave your team members alone with the client, right? You should step in case you feel that something might go wrong, or that your team member is frustrated, or they don't know how to proceed with that client. You should always be there. They should be able to rely on you. Of course, you should value your reputation and as a reliable partner to your clients. And reputation is more important than money, and that is true. Also, the couple of extra from me, that is, don't expect much in the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, in the beginning of your journey as an Upwork agency owner, and don't put too much pressure on yourself by like hiring a lot of people and then like frantically trying to find like projects for them because this might happen. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. One step at a time, at slow pace, so that you don't put yourself in a huge risk as well. Because remember what I said in the beginning, that is, you should be having like a safety fund in case the client doesn't pay you. You should be able to pay your team members. So you might want to start perhaps with smaller projects and then move on to bigger ones. And the last one today would be only work with people you trust. I have mentioned this a lot in this channel and in my Upwork videos. Your contractors, your freelancers, your team members are like your source of income and the core product of your service company. And you want to make sure that you're offering a good quality product to your clients. Otherwise, you might suffer the consequences. And on this light note, I presume that we'll close today's episode because I see that I have talked for 40 minutes straight. Someone shut me up. So let me know what other questions you might be having. Throw them down below in the chat, and I'll try to answer each one. And I see that there are already some comments. Alexandra writes, how you can make your team to be responsible and enthusiastic. Best way is good salary. True, especially if I'll proceed reading, but just a slight comment here, especially when your agency is small and your company is small and you cannot promise any huge benefits to your team members like social package or medical insurance or whatever. The only thing that how you can attract good team members to your team is to offer them higher wages. That is another like ugly truth for Upwork agency owners. Say if the median of a salary of like say Python engineer in your local company, say like just like $5,000, you should offer them $6,000. And if you work on an hourly based agreement, then if that person's regular rate is say $20 per hour, you should offer them 25. That is in the beginning, that is the only way you can, attract good people to your team, because you cannot promise them anything else. No insurances, no, corporate demands, no nothing. So the only is to offer them slightly higher wages. However, the things work not that simple, of course. Besides, in small companies, the business owners pays more attention to each new employee by hiring them personally. But that doesn't work for big companies, I guess. Yes, true. And we are talking today about small teams and small companies. Yes, we revert back to the beginning, and that is hire people you trust, for this same reason that Alexandra wrote, that this is a small team and you should work only with people you trust in the beginning, because you cannot risk your reputation, first of all. And second, you might not be boasting like huge team, but you might boast a well-knit team of employees or contractors whom you can trust. This is extremely important, because with a smaller team that is like well-knit and has great spirit, you can do much more than like managing a team of 50 people who are like not even communicating with each other. So yes, great point here, Alexandra. Hi, Maru, great to see you here. I presume that this is the first live stream you've made it to, right? Okay. So let me check, because I cannot see for some reason all of the chat, if there are any other questions today. Because if there aren't, perhaps I have answered to all of your questions that you might have had. That is great. If that is so, let me know in the chat if I have covered everything and slightly more. I guess I came prepared for today's live stream and just covered everything. Perhaps we should have split that into live streams, because I covered too many questions for Upwork agency owners, but I hope it was helpful. So let me know that in the chat. And besides, if there are, so I'll wait for a couple of minutes more. So if there will be no further questions, then you can ask me any questions, not only related to Upwork or Upwork agencies. Today we are doing the FAQ session. One more, Alexandra writes, one more point I liked is about the ability to sell yourself. The lack of selling yourself skill can be a problem both for job seekers and business owners. I remember several situations from my own experience when the company managed to find necessary employees only by a miracle because their CVs were not informative. True, that is so true. And I have mentioned that on purpose, because I know so many great employees who just can't sell themselves and who whose CVs look awful, to say the least. But they are great professionals. They just can't present themselves. They just can't sell themselves. And on the other hand, when I see like CV abundant with skills and bright and I can do everything sort of, so I always get sort of suspicious, and I like rest assured that if you like have a huge CV, I will check everything, especially if you don't have that much of experience but you have like a huge skill set. That is suspicious. And yes, there are people who just cannot sell themselves. So people can be modest or not self-confident, but they still can be good professionals or good performers. Yes, that is true. That is true. People can be modest, and that is that the or sometimes if we speak about IT industry, I have met many people who are more on the autistic side, and I have actually worked in one of the companies I worked in as an employee. I knew like several like autistic programmers, and if you don't know, autistic people, they suffer not from the lack of intellectual skills. In many cases it's communicational skills, and of course they cannot present themselves well, but still it doesn't make them any like they still can write outstanding code. They can't prove it. They can't present themselves. They can't sell themselves. And this is why you want to have two types of people in your team. You want to have a partner who have skills opposite to yours. Say if you're a salesperson, you need a technical person. If you are a technical person, you need a salesperson. No brainer. And yes, people might not know how to present themselves in terms of which skills they should highlight in order to get noticed. And that was the issue, say, with my husband. But he had me, and I knew which skills of his I should highlight in his CV for him to get noticed. Sold them in a matter of 1 week. Okay, so if there are no more questions or comments, I presume that we'll be closing this live stream for today. I hope it was useful for you, and I thank every one of you who came. Alexandra, Leonid, Alexander, and Maruf, I thank you so much for coming and for commenting. And if you think of any further questions, just throw them down in the comments to this live stream. It will be available after we close. Don't forget to like this live stream and let me know what would you like to talk the next time about. And see you in my next episode. I was so happy to have you here. Thank you again for coming, and I'll see you soon. Bye.